what I'm going to be talking about. But if you go into Unit 1, here are the chapters that you need to focus on. Again, the beginning chapters here aren't too bad. Most of these just kind of cover one topic. That's why I really kind of focused on them. But again, Unit 2, it's really not that long because we're getting into more complicated stuff. And don't worry, if we're actually moving, if you want to just focus on the first unit stuff, I will do a review of this in the future. So don't worry. I just might start a longer lab. So we'll have a lab this week. But I might give you guys 2 weeks to work on it just so that you have more time. Make sense? So if you're studying, focus on Unit 1 here. Just, you can read my advice, read the textbook. It's really good. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, this is just, again, kind of the too long didn't read. It will give you a basic idea of what I'm going to be putting in the exam, because I'm not going to like trick you guys to put stuff that you've never seen before, hopefully. But again, yeah, this will be the core content. And the link, again, is on the main page of Moodle. I think I might have closed it, but on my screen. But you can still visit my notes here, or just send me a message and I'll send them to you. Yeah. Again, then Unit 3 is like really short. So, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, similar to how we did it in the labs, you'll notice that the material isn't drawn directly from the, like, there's no answers in the textbook for all of this. What I'm doing is that I'm taking these ideas, and as long as you understand how to use these things, for example, my goodness, we don't even really, that's just general information. Let's see when providers, we need a good example. Let's say pipelines. The examples aren't, it's not just going to be like, oh, well, here, I want you to remember that you can pipe a get process into an export CLI XML. What I want you to do is understand the core idea of pipelines and how you can use them. So if you understand that essentially what it does is that it pipes from the left to the right, and you understand that we need to match, like, the output from the left has to fit into the command on the right, then that's the core principles that you need. And it's going to be testing if you can take that and kind of take it a little bit further and apply it to something. So very, like, exactly how we did in the lab. So if you're feeling confident in the labs, if you're not worried, I don't think this is going to be too bad for anyone. It's very similar. There might be a couple, like, written questions, like asking you, oh, why would you use this? Or, like, for example, I'm trying to think of something that, like, some of these you just can't really test on. For example, how do I kill the machine? Or why would I kill the machine? Or let's say, oh, here's a perfect one, naming conventions. I might ask you about naming conventions. And then I'd just like you to, like, give me a blurb about, well, what are some best practices in naming conventions? And, like, as long as you are, like, name key points, that's what I'm looking for. So again, the code is more about the understanding the general concepts and being able to apply them to realistic stuff. Let's see, chapter 8. Objects, for example. I might not have covered every object, but the key with objects is that you just have to remember that you can set it to a variable and then you can access the properties. And if you're ever confused, like if you're like, I've never seen this variable before, we just talked about it. We can actually just do, for example, you can do anything and pipe it into GM. For example, someone give me a command. I just want to use someone in the classes, because someone might have ran into one that they're like, get help, perfect. Oh, that one's going to be, but that works actually. It's going to be a weird one, and this will actually tell you everything that's inside of this object. All the things that you could call on it in this get help object, there are no properties, so you can't access anything, but you could, for example, run compare to, or contains, or equals, or you could check to see, here we go, categories. So you can call all of this stuff inside of here. But again, if you just remember those general concepts so that you don't, if you get lost in the exam, you have the prompt. So you can actually go in and you can actually go through and search up those things and kind of save yourself. Again, great one is get help or just help. Because if you're stuck on anything, just know, oh, I can pipe it into help. Or let's say I don't know anything about logs. You can do help log, and it'll give you an output of all of the different commandlets you can work with that involve logs. You could use anything that involves that has the word PR inside of it. Let's see what that produces. It might make a mess. Yeah, there you go. So it processes. Like, let's say you're looking for anything that involves processes. Or process is probably the safer way of doing this. So this will give you all of the commands on the system that contain the word process or involve processes. So if you're stuck, again, key thing is just play with this stuff. If you've been writing code, if you've been writing PowerShell and you've been trying to solve these problems, I'm sure you'll be fine. So again, I just wanted to go through that because I feel like at times it is a little nerve-wracking going into your first midterm in a class, and just to give you guys an idea of kind of what you're going to be coming up against. So again, if you have any questions, totally ask them, especially during class time, because then it helps everyone. But yeah, I'll leave that for now just so we can continue with the lesson.